There's possession, which people seem to be very fascinated by, right? That's not the worst thing the devil can do, though. There is obsession, which is also a great suffering, and there is oppression. But the fourth way the devil attacks us is actually, according to Father Amorth, the worst way, the most dangerous way. Because as we've seen, the demon can oppress saints, and the demon can obsess saints. He can even possess saints, right? At least in their bodies and lower faculties. But one thing that he does to us that actually induces us to willingly join him in his rebellion and in his condemnation is temptation. And Father Amorth makes it very clear that's actually the worst thing he can do. And sadly enough, as impressed as people are with the idea of diabolical possession, when it comes to temptation, they're okay with this. They're willing to go through life day by day by day, willingly living among temptations that they choose to have in their lives, that they're refusing to give up. And yet this is the most dangerous thing of all the devil can do, because he's trying to use that temptation to induce us to consent to mortal sin. The temptation is like an engraved invitation from the devil. Please join me in my sin, my condemnation, and ultimately join me in hell. RSVP, this is an invitation you get. Now, if you opened your mailbox one day and there's this invitation here, it looks really nice, and you read it, and it said that, Dear Tom, I formally invite you to join me in my sin against God, in my rebellion against God, and ultimately to join me in hell forever, signed the devil. I mean, what would you do with it? Because would you take it and say, that's nice. Gee, I'll think about that, No, of course you wouldn't. You would drop it immediately. You'd stomp on it. You'd burn it. You would never do that. And yet, when it comes to temptation, they're willing to treat that invitation as though it was something really worth thinking about, worth pondering, put it in your back pocket, carry it around a while, decide what you really want to do. And that's tragic. That's why people lose their souls. Even when they go to confession, they say they're sorry for their sins. They have contrition for their sins. And they may actually been sincere when they say, I not only don't intend to commit that sin again, but I intend never to commit that sin again. And yet, they are unwilling to part with the temptations. They still want to live with those temptations in their lives. It's like somebody who's saying, well, I'm terribly overweight. I really, really need to lose weight, and I intend to do so. But, the ice cream in the freezer and the chocolate cakes and the cookies everywhere, well, I can't part with those. I've got to still be surrounded by these things all the time. I mean, that's kind of crazy to do that. Or an alcoholic who says, okay, I'm not going to drink and get drunk, but I'm sure going to leave the liquor cabinet filled, because at least I want to keep those temptations handy, right? At least I want that much. The ultimate message they're sending is they don't really have the firm purpose of amendment, because they find those temptations keep drawing them back into sin again. And the problem with that time is if they go into the confessional, they say, I'm heartily sorry for all my sins. But they know from experience that those temptations are continually drawing them back into sin. Then they have to face the fact that either they're going to continue sinning and they're going to lose their soul, or they're going to get rid of the sources of temptation, because until they do, they're basically making a very loud, clear statement. I really do not have genuine contrition. I'm not really sorry for my sin, because although I regret my sin and lament the idea of going to hell, I'm not willing to part with the sources of temptation. And that's lethal. That's suicidal, spiritually. So